Hello, we're Team 4, and this is our consultation project with the Dallas Theater Center about the Kalita Humphreys. Before the Kalita Humphreys came to be, Freedmanstown, Little Mexico were two vibrant, well-established neighborhoods that thrived in this particular area of Dallas. After flourishing for nearly a century, these two Black and Hispanic communities were pushed out of their own area due to discrimination and building of major highways. While Freedmanstown and Little Mexico were on the decline, DTC's first theater, the Kalita Humphreys, was designed by the infamous Frank Lloyd Wright and finished construction in 1959. DTC has engaged in numerous outreach programs, which includes Public Works Dallas and Project Discovery. DTC has received numerous accolades, with the latest being the recipient of the 2017 Tony Award for Best Regional Theater, which brings us to our current situation post-COVID.
What used to be Freedmanstown and Little Mexico have now become a predominantly white and affluent community that has not been very welcoming for Black or Hispanic individuals. There is a cultural, financial, educational, and language barrier between these communities and their attendance of the theater. Because of this, these communities have carved out their own spaces in Dallas. But how do we welcome them back into a space that was once initially theirs? This brings us to our charge, which is to increase community connectivity and access to the DTC and heighten patronage of Black individuals by 25% and Hispanics by 50% within 2 years.
With this current situation of Blacks and Hispanics not feeling comfortable or welcome in the theater, the first and most significant way we can achieve our charge of changing this is through building strong partnerships and developing trust with these communities. The way we will do this is through outreach programs where we will travel and interact with these programs on their own turf. We recommend that the DTC establish a permanent community liaison position who spearheads our outreach, partnerships, DEI initiatives, and brings the resources to the theater that the theater has to other neighborhoods in Dallas. The Kalita Humphreys Theater is fortunate enough to have 9 full-time cast members. We suggest utilizing these to travel to local schools and small theaters to broadcast the Kalita to our target communities in spaces where they are most comfortable. They will put on bare bones productions, which are a simpler type of theater, conduct meet and greets, and establish relationships with these schools and communities. Our goal is not only to increase visibility of the theater, but to spread awareness of the cultural significance of the land it sits on and foster a more familiar environment if they ultimately come to an on-site event. We also recommend offering online streaming options for those who cannot make it.
The prison project will help decrease recidivism rates and to help prepare individuals for life beyond bars. Since the majority of those incarcerated across the U.S. are African American or Hispanic, we will be able to establish a relationship with them and help impact their lives in a meaningful way. It would also be beneficial if DTC established partnerships with other Dallas organizations for the outgoing reach of the Kalita, which brings us to our last recommendations for this step.
We recommend that the DTC establish a permanent community liaison position. This individual should be someone with an extensive background and repertoire in South and West Dallas communities. They would be tasked with going to local school districts, organizations, community centers, and meetings to establish relationship and trust with these communities. In addition, they will learn more about their needs and what they would like to see in the Kalita and in turn increase attraction and attendance. They would be tasked with overseeing programs such as the Prison Project, Dallas IC, Dallas College, in addition to other local Hispanic Black serving organizations. In addition, this individual would also be responsible for conducting recommendations for the Kalita to adopt to foster a safe, inclusive, and culturally competent environment.
Our first section of recommendations was focused on going out into the community and interacting with people in their own spaces in order to build relationships and foster trust. Now, our second set of recommendations is focused on bringing these groups of individuals to the Kalita Theater by hosting a number of outdoor events, which will make people of all backgrounds feel welcome and comfortable. To do this, we will focus on creating experiences which are both entertaining and inspiring for all patrons, while also honoring the history of these groups in North Dallas. First, I'd like to give you a little overview of the space we have to work with at the Kalita. Point 1 in the center is the main Kalita Theater, and the adjacent number 2 is the secondary theater building, where we will host additional events. The main aspect we'd like to draw your attention to, however, is this new large green space available on the north end of campus, which will be available after the parking area currently located there is moved to the underground parking garage located at number 4. This open green space will be the location of many of our recommendations in the upcoming section, which are centered on the idea of creating community through informal gatherings and outdoor events. This segues perfectly into our first recommendation, which is to host monthly cultural celebrations focused on representing different communities in and throughout Dallas. These celebrations will be heavily advertised through our newly established partnerships and will include an afternoon theater production that's culturally relevant, Black and Hispanic-owned food trucks for a more casual dining option, live music or other performances at the outdoor amphitheater, and free childcare services for families to mitigate the costs associated with going to a theater. We hope to have an event at least once a month, so visitors have something consistent to look forward to attending with their family and friends.
On certain historical or significant holidays, we want to organize something called a Freedom Walk. For this Freedom Walk, we envision patrons walking from the Wiley, another DTC theater, to the Kalita. This walk is about 35 minutes, and along it, we want to scatter scenes of a play that together will make up a collective story. Implementing a Freedom Walk is a great way to expose patrons to the rich history of the Kalita Humphreys. The land spanning the Freedom Walk includes much of the historic Freemanstown and Little Mexico. This is a fun and creative way to expose people to the history of the theater while inviting them into the space. Additionally, we want to bring art to the Kalita by implementing an art garden where we will showcase artists from the Black and Hispanic communities. We believe that this will be a great way to both promote the work of these communities and make the space feel more welcoming and inviting to them. Additionally, an art garden is a creative way to reimagine the jewel in the forest, as Frank Lloyd Wright referred to it. We have had conversations with individuals on the board of the Friends of the Katy Trail about connecting with them to display rotating seasonal art on the same schedule as the Katy Trail. This would create synergy between the Katy Trail and the Kalita, which would create curiosity, bringing in more people to the theater from the trail. Finally, we recommend that the Kalita utilize their outdoor space for additional events like improv, dances, and comedians. By doing this, it will create a more casual setting for individuals to experience the theater. This will create a less intimidating environment for families of Black and Brown communities to step into.
Overall, in order to create a plan of action for this multifaceted charge, we have considered a wide range of additions to honor the heritage of the Dallas neighborhood and keep in the spirit of Frank Lloyd Wright. Many of these pertain to the creation of new events and outreach to help enhance community connectivity, while others' recommendations focus on physical alterations to space to achieve our goal of improving patron access to the theater. We believe that Kalita Humphreys can successfully create a safe, welcoming, and diverse theater center, and we hope you can now envision our future too.